here at No Labels. We're honored to have Senator John McCain from Arizona starting things off with us this morning. We're going to be here for 2 hours introducing and speaking to 12 U.S. senators over the course of the next 2 hours, getting their impressions on the State of the Union, what they'll be focused on this upcoming session, and the type of legislation that they like to pursue. Senator John McCain was first elected to the House in 1982 and was just reelected overwhelmingly with 60% of the vote in his home state of Arizona. We're honored to have you, Senator McCain.
Thank you, Kevin. I don't think 2 hours is enough for 12 senators.
Yeah, we might have some filibusters going on.
2 hours each. Yeah.
That's right. Well, Senator, would just love to get your impressions of the President's address last night and what he spoke about.
I thought it was excellent. I thought the atmosphere was vastly improved from previous years. Unfortunately, the trigger for this was a tragedy in Tucson. By the way, we have good news. Gabrielle Gifford's condition has been upgraded, so we're very happy about that. And I sat not just with one, but with three. I sat with two Democrats, John Kerry and Tom Udall, and an independent, Joe Lieberman. So
that's the No Labels message right there.
There you go.
Republican, Democrat,
and so I think the President's tone was excellent. I was glad to see him address some issues that have been of concern to us, and it's clearly a changed atmosphere. How long that lasts, hard to tell.
Absolutely. And of those issues that the President brought up, what were you most interested to hear him speak about? I know immigration is a key issue in Arizona.
Immigration, I was very pleased to hear him say he would veto any bill with a pork barrel project on it.
I know that's been a key issue.
I hate to, I was jumping up and down, but on that one I was glad to jump to my feet. The free trade agreement, not only South Korea but Panama and Colombia, I think are very important. The lowering of the corporate tax rate. You know, we have the second highest corporate tax rate in the world, which makes it really harmful for people to do business in the United States of America. So there was a number of things that I think that issues that he brought up that we can work on. But look, the elephant in the room is spending. The elephant in the room is deficits. The election was about spending and deficits. That was the lesson from November the 2nd. So frankly, a spending freeze is not enough. We've got to go back to 2008 or even 2006, and we have to start sitting down, Republicans and Democrats, on the issue of entitlements. The huge looming problems out there are Social Security and Medicare.
And I think, Senator McCain, I think you have one of the proudest records in the Senate of working across party lines with McCain-Feingold on campaign finance reform. And I know you were hurt personally when Senator Feingold lost re-election, and as a friend across the aisle.
He's a dear friend and the most honest man I've ever known in the United States Senate. He stood up for what he believed in, and I will miss him terribly because he was a true reformer in the tradition of Wisconsin politics.
Absolutely. And I think you'll agree we need more of those kind of relationships across party lines. And I know you had a deep friendship with him.
And now Joe Lieberman tells me that
in 2 years, I know.
that he's not running for re-election. So, but there's a new crop coming up. Last night I sat with Tom Udall. Tom and Mark Udall are classic examples, I think, of the new generation of leadership in the Senate that we could work with very, very easily.
Absolutely. And across that, keeping that same mindset, what can we do to help senators, promote senators working across party lines on the grassroots level? You know, we have the extremes on both sides that are loud and voice for us. What can we do to empower senators to work across party lines so that they see that there's that base of support?
Frankly, you have to make sure that our constituents know and appreciate what we do. Results are important. With the makeup of the United States Senate, we're not going to get much done unless we work together. Now, people are frustrated and angry. The approval rating of Congress is way down, and they want results. And so if you can translate results into approval. Look, politicians want gratification. They're like babies, you know, they're instant gratification. And so if there's a large number and percentage of our constituents out there that when we get something done, we're going to have to reform Social Security and Medicare, okay? tough decisions are going to have to be made. Certain special interests will be on fire about it.
On both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, on both sides. So if we reach one of these agreements, then I would hope that the people who are involved in them making those tough decisions would be appreciated the way Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill were back when they saved Social Security the last time. Now, if they are condemned and if they are voted out of office, then obviously that has the opposite effect.
Absolutely right, and that's the best example that we have is President Reagan and Speaker O'Neill working across party lines, and that's what we
Two
want to
old
do.
Irishmen sitting down together and came out together and said, here's what we're going to do.
And they fought, you know, during the day, and then at 6 p.m. they could come together and
maybe
over
have
a cocktail. And
maybe have a drink, yes.
And so,
an old Irish custom.
Exactly. And how do we do that with senators again? To make them, you know, build lasting friendships like you had with
Well, one of the things, I know that there's lunches and they're proposed for meetings and all that. One of the things that I have found to be very helpful is to travel with Democrats.
On Codels and...
Yeah, overseas. There's a conference coming up in Munich. A number of my Democrat colleagues are coming along with me and Joe Lieberman. So I think travel together is important. Look, the lifestyle we have today, we no longer stay in Washington in the weekend and socialize. You can't go back to that. And I don't think so there should be other ways to bring us together more.
Absolutely. And you mentioned lunches as maybe a way to do that, a bipartisan lunch maybe once a month, or in more interactions with President Obama. And and I think, you know,
I think the president realizes there's not been a lot of interaction. When the president had one meeting with the Republican leader in the last 2 years, that's got to change.
Exactly. And I think that we don't want it to be front page news when both parties are meeting together. That should just be commonplace, and that's what we want to do, is encourage that kind of conversation and that bipartisan thinking moving forward, so that we can have these kind of relationships across party lines. I think that's the key thing.
Well, let me give you a test. First time there is a bipartisan agreement on an issue this year, if you can mobilize the great silent,
no labels army,
silent no labels army to say, okay, thanks a lot for doing this.
And to have their back.
And to have their back. I think that will be very helpful, and that's why no labels can really play a very important role.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Senator. I know we have Kiki McCain, one of our founding leaders, that just came in, and we're going to get her mic'd up. As Mark McKinnon said at our launch, democracy is a messy thing, so this is going to be kind of a messy day, and we have Senator Ben Nelson from Nebraska who just walked in, and I know has worked with Senator McCain on a number of key issues. And just bear with us. We're going to get Kiki McCain mic'd up and bring Senator Nelson over. Senator McCain, thank you so much for everything today.
Great to be with you.